Okay, so flipping over. Method 2, using the y-intercept and slope. Well, what do you mean? Hold on, let's go back. Example 3, graph the linear relation, write the equation. Method 1, use a table of values. Okay, so we used a table of values to be able to graph this. They now want me to use the slope y-intercept, which means I need to use my equation. So, remember what we have here. We've got good old Giovanni, and he's charging you a cost that is $8 for the pizza with no toppings. We call that our fixed cost. It's also when the number of toppings equals 0. So in other words, this is the point 0, 8, and that makes a lot of sense, right? Because this is the number of toppings. This is going to be the cost. And what's Giovanni doing? He's charging us $2 for every new topping. So our price is going up. $2 per each topping. What does that mean? That is $2 per one topping, which is simply 2 over 1, or 2. This is your slope. Rise over run. Rise in cost. Number of toppings. So, using that, we come up with the equation. Y equals mx plus b gets translated into cost equals 2 toppings plus 8. So it gets translated into the real world discussion of cost of money in terms of toppings. And each point that we put on this graph is going to be in the form topping versus cost. Excuse me. That's old man cough, not COVID cough. So what that means up here is our x-axis is not an x-axis anymore. It's a t-axis for number of toppings. Our y-axis is no longer a y-axis, it's a c-axis, and it represents the total cost in dollars. Okay, so there's no longer anything in terms of x and y, it's now in terms of t and c. And if I want to graph this not using a table of values, well, what I can do is I can say that my slope is 2 over 1, my b value is 8, and using what I've taught you just moments earlier, I go to this point 0, 8. Oh, and my scale is going to be lousy again, isn't it? My scale's horrible for doing this. So let's change the scale. Let's make this a 2. That makes this a 4. That makes this a 6. An 8. A 10. A 12. A 14. A 16. An 18. And a 20. So let's make that a much better scale. So now, go back to what I was doing. I'm taking my b value, so I'm going to 0, 8, and I'm going to use my slope, which is over 1 up 2, to get the next point. And then I'm going to use my over 1 up 2 to get my next point. And so on, and so on, and so on. There used to be a commercial like that. And it was for shampoo, I think. Comes down like this, and there is my graph. So that's how your cost is increasing versus toppings. And we did it without a table of values. And it's the same thing. Now, I do have a couple of questions that I want you to think about. When I graphed this, I'm only in quadrant. Do you notice? I'm only in quadrant 1. Notice that quadrants 2, 3, and 4 have not been included in this. I haven't bothered to do this quadrant, or this quadrant. Studio audience, why am I not in quadrant 2? What's a positive? Yeah, that's why I'm here, but that's not why I didn't graph anything over here. Why am I not continuing this graph down here? I would be upset if someone drew the line through there. Why would I be upset if someone drew the line through there? Why am I stopping the line here and just having it go off in one direction? Anybody? Why not? Why can't I be over here? Why can't I have a t value that's negative? What are t's? Can't have negative toppings, all right? So this line here doesn't make any sense, right? There's no such thing as negative toppings. That's just not going to happen. And why do I not extend my c-axis down here? What does it coming down below this line mean for that c-axis? Negative what? Right. And does it make sense that Giovanni's going to pay me to eat their pizza? No. So negative costs. So in this example, it doesn't make sense to talk about this quadrant, or this quadrant at all, does it? And I'd be really upset if you did. So would Giovanni, by the way. It would be a really bad business model. So for Giovanni's business model, for his cost of his pizza, it starts at $8 and it does nothing but go up, right? And we can use this to figure out the cost of maybe 4 items. And so what I do is I come out to 4 toppings and I go up and I go across and I can read it off the graph what I think 4 toppings would be. And I've run out of scale, so it's definitely going to be an estimate, but I'm thinking 4 toppings should be about $24. And let's see if that kind of works. I'm at 16. Should go over 1, should go up 2, so 14. Might be a little bit high. So this, again, because my scale's not perfect here, this is an estimate. So we wouldn't really want to do that without making sure that it included our scale. But what we can do is take a look at 2 toppings, and we know that 2 toppings are going to cost us $16. Okay? All right. You've got some homework down here. It says day 1, day 2, but remember that's pre-COVID. So there is no day 1, day 2. It's just all of it. So it's actually page 143 to 144, 1 to 9. So all of it, get working on that, and we'll be back in a few minutes.